Hello and welcome to our video on uncovering the truth behind Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a digital asset and a decentralized cryptocurrency that has captured the imagination of people all over the world. However, it's also shrouded in mystery and there are many myths and misconceptions about it. In this video, we will separate the myth from reality and uncover the truth behind Bitcoin. Myth 1: Bitcoin is anonymous. Myth number 1: Bitcoin is anonymous. Many people believe that Bitcoin allows users to make anonymous transactions, but this is not entirely true. While it's true that Bitcoin addresses are not linked to real-world identities, all Bitcoin transactions are recorded on a public ledger called the blockchain. This means that anyone can see the transactions that have taken place on the Bitcoin network. While it is possible to use certain techniques to make it more difficult to trace transactions back to a specific individual, it's not entirely anonymous. Myth 2: Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. Myth number 2: Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent investment scheme in which returns are paid to earlier investors using the investments of newer investors. Many people have accused Bitcoin of being a Ponzi scheme, but this is not true. While it's true that the price of Bitcoin can be volatile and there have been instances of fraud involving Bitcoin, it is not a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme relies on the ability to recruit new investors to keep the scheme going, but Bitcoin does not rely on recruitment. Myth 3: Bitcoin is only used by criminals. Myth number 3: Bitcoin is only used by criminals. This myth probably stems from the fact that Bitcoin was initially used on the dark web to buy and sell illegal items. However, this is no longer the case. While it's true that Bitcoin can be used for illegal activities, it's also used for legitimate purposes such as buying and selling goods and services, sending money overseas, and more. In fact, many mainstream companies now accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. Myth 4: Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. Myth number 4: Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. Some people argue that Bitcoin has no intrinsic value because it is not backed by any physical asset like gold or silver. However, this is not a fair assessment of Bitcoin's value. While it's true that Bitcoin is not backed by a physical asset, it has value because it is useful and scarce. It is useful because it allows for fast and cheap cross-border transactions, and it is scarce because there is a limited supply of 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be created. Myth 5: Bitcoin is not regulated. Myth number 5: Bitcoin is not regulated. Some people believe that Bitcoin is not regulated because it is a decentralized cryptocurrency, but this is not true. While it's true that Bitcoin is not regulated in the same way that traditional currencies are, it is still subject to various forms of regulation in different countries. For example, many countries have put in place regulations to prevent money laundering and tax evasion using Bitcoin. In conclusion, there are many myths and misconceptions about Bitcoin that have fueled its reputation as a mysterious and confusing asset. However, by separating the myth from reality, we can see that Bitcoin is a digital asset that has value, is used for both legitimate and illegitimate purposes, and is subject to various forms of regulation. Thank you for watching. We hope you found this video helpful.